All right, recording now. Okay, so go ahead and take out your reading material. So I know tomorrow remember your performance task will be due tomorrow. I gave us an extra day to do it just because everything was, a little backed up for us. It's telling me my internet connection is unstable. Mr. Amadou, I'm just gonna make you the host just in case I get kicked out again, so that way the whole chat doesn't the whole thing doesn't close out. Oh, you are the host. Great.
Yep, I'm host now.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Last time I kicked me out, just so it's there. I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen. I'm gonna go ahead and share the PowerPoint for today. Something else I want you all to yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen. So we are gonna be doing a bit of reading. I know we all left our Macbeth books at school, but it's okay. I'm just gonna pull it up here. And if I share my screen, you should be able to see it. So we're going to go ahead and start there. Adelaide, I just saw your hand up. You have a question?
Yes. So if we have access to the Macbeth book, can we use it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have access to it? Yeah. All right, great. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So last finished working on our first Shakespeare play, which was Julius Caesar. The in class, what we're going to do is have to read Act 1, Scene 1 and 2. That's what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to read the scene with probably Shakespeare's purpose in opening the play with the witches and the battle, as you all have read it in the first scene, and then we're going to go ahead and practice himself. Put a thumbs up if we're all good. Okay, so it seems like my side it's breaking. Is it? Can you guys hear my voice? Put it up. You can hear me clearly. Thumbs.
So, Miss Scylla, your voice is Miss Scylla, your voice is breaking up a lot.
Is not, my internet connection is not strong down here.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe you can you chat the instructions into the chat room and I could read them out loud.
Okay. All right. So what I want us to do now is I'm gonna pull up the screen with the scene that we're gonna be focusing on. I just want you all to just take the next minute, just read through the scene so that when we go ahead and read through it, we know exactly which scene that I'm gonna be referring to. So you should have Act 1, Scene 1 on the screen right now with the 3 witches. So we're just gonna go ahead and take turns reading through it. So just go ahead and silently on your own read through the scene so that when we go ahead and pull it out, we all have the scenes in our heads. Give me a second, Mr. Amateur.
That came through pretty clear, those instructions, Miss Scylla.
Okay.
And everyone needs to stop using the chat feature that way. You should only use a private chat with your teacher, or if the teacher asks for everyone to chat something specific.
right, so I'm gonna go ahead and so put a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, great. So we're gonna continue on with the lesson. So what I want you to do now is I shared my screen. So this is just a scene from the text. So what I want us to do now is to just begin today's class. We need to be sure that we understand the content and events of the scene. So in order to do that, we're first going to read this through this scene together with the appropriate inflection and intonation. So what I want you to do now is I'm just going to model how I would read this out loud with the proper inflection in my tone. And I just want you all to pay attention to the way I read this scene out. And then we're going to practice it with the first scene. Sounds good? Thumbs up if you're following along. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, great. Then problems came from the east. Listen, King of Scotland, listen. When the rebels started to run, the Norwegian land saw an advantage. With fresh arms and new supplies of men, he launched a new attack. So I want you to pay. So as I was reading, I was hoping you were paying attention to the inflection in my tone and the way that I was reading the scene out loud, because you're going to be practicing it with. Well, I'm going to have about 3 of you guys read together. I'm going to present the screen. I'm going to present the screen, and then I'm just going to assign you a character. And I want you all to just do the same once I give you your character. Sounds good? Can you guys hear me? Do you guys see my screen? It's saying that my screen is paused. Okay. Are you able to see my screen now? It should be on Act 1, Scene 1 with the 3 witches. Can I have someone volunteer to be the first witch? Can I have someone volunteer to be the second witch and someone for the third witch? Eric, you can be the first witch. Jessica, yes.
I don't think we're on that slide. We still see the same slide with the problems came from the east. Is it a new slide we need?
Yeah. I'm gonna stop the share and start again.
It's okay.
What about now?
Let's see. We're there. Great, thank you.
So yeah, Eric, you can be the first one. Jessica, you can be the second one. And Lysandra, you can be the third one.
When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle lost and won.
That will be the set of sun.
Where's the place?
On the health.
There to meet with Macbeth. Fair is foul, and foul is fair.
However,
Hover through the
fog and filthy air.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Law.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a lot of tech issues going on today, guys. Just bear in mind with me. Thank you all for your patience as I'm trying to figure this out. Just keeps kicking me out. Can you all, hello? Can you hear me? Great. All right, so now that we have read through that scene, I apologize, guys. Like I said, my internet for some reason is going in and out. I just want us to really quickly share out why do we think it's important to read our text with the proper inflection and intonation? Why do we think it's important to read with inflection as we're reading some of Shakespeare's plays? I'm gonna go with Zenobia. Go ahead, Zenobia.
Okay. This is because basically there's a lot of blood and drama to Shakespeare, and so if we don't read it with inflection, then it could mean something totally different than what Shakespeare's trying to imply to the reader, and then we won't understand. Like if somebody's getting killed and then you're reading it like you just don't care, then that's gonna be very weird because then it seems like you want to die. So yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm just gonna try to speed things up for the sake of timing. I know we lost a lot of time. My tech issues once again. I apologize for that. So just please bear patience. So great. So like Sonovia said, we need to make sure that we're reading with the proper inflection because it just makes the text more entertaining. We're able to get what the author is trying to portray to us. If we don't use the proper ones, we can definitely misinterpret the language or the plot of the story if we're not able to pick up on that. So it's going to lead us to best read this in the we're going to read this in the best possible way, and we're going to interpret things of the text. Right. So in order to be able to understand what we have read, though, we always need to summarize the scene first without our personal opinions or judgment. So we always do this by citing directly from the text from the scene. So let's really quickly recap. What is a summary? Just gonna pick on someone. Nana, what is a summary? Nana, what is a summary? What is a summary? Can you hear me? You guys can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Great. Nana, what is a summary?
A summary is when you write down important events that happen to inside of a text, and It does not include nice to know details.
Why don't we include nice to know details in the summary? Esther.
We don't include nice to know details because we won't be able to get the important parts of the text, and so it's important to include details that are important to the summary, because we're like trying to figure out like what's going on, and the nice to know isn't really going to help us understand the plot.
Nice. Yeah. Our main goal when we're trying to write summaries is getting the main plots out there, is getting the main key points of the text. If we're including details that are nice to know instead of need to know, it might confuse our reader into thinking that this is an important aspect of the text where we don't want them to mainly focus on this. We definitely want to give off what the key details and what the key ideas of the text. So we you know, as much as possible, we keep the nice to know details out of the text. Great. So when we're creating a summary as well, it's also important that we do not include our own opinions or judgments within the summary. So we know that a summary is just meant to restate the most important facts, events, or ideas. So what do you think is going to happen if we were to include our own judgments or opinions in the text, in our summary? Angelina, what would happen? Why do we keep our opinions and our judgments out of it? What do you think will happen if we put it in there?
I think that if we keep our personal judgment, if we put our personal judgments in a summary, then it's not really a summary. It's more like an opinion-based.
Yeah,
Yes,
it turns into now an opinion-based text. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to give the key ideas, the main ideas, the events of what's going on in the text. But if we go ahead and just include any of our opinions, now we have turned it into an opinion piece, and someone may be swayed and thinking that, you know, how we feel about the text is something that's important to know. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and model how I would write a summary, starting with the most important ideas and from the scene. So I know that we read Act 1, Scene 2, so I'm going to go ahead and summarize that scene. So I'm going to model how I would determine whether or not details are important for me to include into my summary. So I'm just going to share my screen for the PowerPoint so you know where I'm referring back to. Where did it go? There we go. Screen. Can you all see my screen? Just put a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, thank you. Okay. So first we learned that there's a captain, his name is Macbeth, and he killed an army's enemy, showing extraordinary bravery. Sorry, can you hear me? Lysandra, just put a thumbs up because I can see your face right now. Put a thumbs up. Right, due to his actions. So I didn't interject any opinions or judgment into my summary because I'm trying to keep this objective. I'm not trying to you know, turn this into an opinion piece or sway people's minds about something. But the text called him brave and worthy, so I'm going to go ahead and directly quote it from the text. So next, the Thane of Roth appears and tells Duncan the king that their enemy, the king of Norway, was helped by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor. So I'm also being careful again to pick evidence from the text that support my statements. So I quoted what happened concisely and accurately, but he also expressed his opinion about the Thane of Cawdor's betrayal, right? He talked about how he called him a disloyal traitor. That's not my words, that's the text words. So I'm making sure I'm choosing the words directly from the text so that my opinion is not in it.
Your hand just went in front of my screen.
Is that me, Ms. Muzzle? Okay, great. So I'm going to keep going on. So now I need to look for the next piece of important information that I'm going to put into my summary. So the next important piece of information that I'm also going to include into my summary is the fact that Macbeth fought the King of Norway himself and wore him down until they were victorious. So I'm going ahead and I'm wrapping up everything. I'm talking about all the important key, hitting all the key points that happened in the text. And I'm also using textual evidence from the text to support it. I'm quoting directly from the text. I'm pulling out the words that Shakespeare uses, not mine, in order to make sure that I'm keeping my personal opinion out of it. Questions? Great. So now what I want us to do is thinking about what we've read. What do you think the next important part of our summary would be? What is the next important piece of information that I need to include into my summary? Bintu, what do you think the next important piece of information I need to include in my summary is?
I think the next important thing to add into our summary is that King Duncan says that Macbeth should be crowned the next Thane of Cawdor because the other Thane of Cawdor was a traitor, so he should have been killed. And
nice. And what does he talks about needs to happen to the Thane of Cawdor that was the traitor? What does he say? What does he say for them to? What does he say to happen to him?
He would be executed.
Nice, right? So Bintu hit it on the nail. Lastly, the King Duncan commands that the Thane of Cawdor be put to instant death, right? And Macbeth is made the new Cawdor. Why did I include these points into my summary? No, I see a hand up. Why did I include these points into my summary?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I said, why did I include these points into my summary? Why did I
Miss Ella, you broke up. Can you repeat it?
Naya, I can hear her. She's not breaking up. I do think it cuts out a little bit, but I want you to do your best to listen, Naya, the first time, okay?
Uh-huh.
Why did I include points in my summary?
You included these points in your summary because these were the main events. Be quiet. These were the main events that happened in the first act, scene 1 and 2. Stop the nonsense.
Hello? I can't hear anything. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. So these are so Naya, can you just I believe Naya said that these were key details, key points that happened from the text. Can anyone add on? Why would I add these specific points into my summary? Think about the introduction that you read. Think about what you know is going to happen in Macbeth. Think about summary about Macbeth that you read. Zenobia?
Okay. I think that these points should be included because basically it shows how Macbeth is going to corrupt his life due to the power that, not the power, I mean due to, I think karma maybe is going to happen because of the people that he has killed.
also know it's gonna happen in the text, right? Hello?
Did I black out for a second?
No, I just think someone's unmuted. I'm hearing yeah, so thinking about what else we know is gonna happen in the text, thinking about how we know that Macbeth is going to eventually become the Thane of Cawdor and some of the things that he does. This information is important because it shows like the major events of the battle, and it also shows us how the king feels about everything that has happened, right? And then it helps us to even understand Macbeth better, understand what kind of person that he is, what kind of things that are being said of him before we even meet him in the way, right? So we just completed a summary of the first scene of the play. So, sorry, I didn't show the screen. So the next thing that we're going to do is after we've summarized the second scene, we're going to come up with a better and more complete understanding of the events that open up the play. So we're going to use what we know about this scene, and we're going to use it to evaluate Shakespeare's purpose in opening the play with the witches in the battle. So as we all read in the first scene, it started with the witches kind of talking about what's going on. They were setting it up, talking about the thing of who's going to be the next Thane of Cawdor. So we're going to go ahead and just think about the scene with the witches, and then we're also going to think about the scene, the battle scene that we just summarized, and we're going to think about how it's going to play out in future scenes. So like I said, remember what we read about the sorry, let me just share the PowerPoint again. So thinking about what we read is going to happen, thinking about the introduction summary that we read in the beginning of the story, I wanted to think about how this is going to play out in the future scenes. So let's take a second and just read through the discussion prompt number 1. Just take about 10 seconds, read through it on your own. Great. So I want someone to just quickly describe to us what they think this prompt is asking us to do. Brianna, can you just tell us, what do you think this prompt is asking us to do?
I think this prompt is asking us to do is like to see how with reading Act 1, scenes 1 and 2 to predict like what would happen in the rest of the scenes and acts, like how
Nice.
they act.
Nice. So what do we need to do in order to best prepare for this prompt? What do we need to look at? What do we need to do in order to best prepare for this prompt? Joseph?
I think what we need to look at is what the witches say, do, and think, so that we know like what their actions, like what they will do next.
Okay. And what else are we looking at in order to best answer this prompt?
Maybe also the setting.
Repeat that. I didn't hear that last part.
Maybe also the setting.
The setting of what? So we're talking about the witches scene, and what other scene are we referring to?
I'm not sure.
Can you guys see the discussion prompt?
Yes,
what else are we looking at? Sorry?
Yes,
Hello?
we can see it.
Okay. So what else are we looking at? What other scene, Kiara?
We're looking for the key events that happen in scene 2.
Okay, but what 2 specific scenes are we looking at? So we're looking at the scenes with the witches. What other scene are we looking at? Kiara?
Anyways, we're looking at seeing the introduction.
What events? It says it in the prompt. Let's look at it. It says infer how the witches and the battle of the play. and the battle will play out in the future scene. So we're looking at the scene with the witches. Adelaide, what is the second scene that we're looking at?
We're looking at the scene of the battle.
Nice, the scene of the battle, guys. Yep, just the scene of the battle. So we're looking at how the scene with the witches and how the scene with the battle that Macbeth was fighting in, how we're going to infer how do we think it's going to play out in the future scenes based on what we have read, based on what we know is going to happen in the story. Thumbs up if you are with me. Thumbs up if you know what you're going to do for the next 3 minutes. Thumbs down if you are confused and need me to further break down the instructions. So I see Anaya is with me, Lassandra's with me, Adelaide's with me, Joseph is with me, Kiara is with me, Anthony. Lemuel, Jessica, yes.
I'm gonna actually just post the prompt to everybody on the chat feature right now.
Thank you.
In case they can't see, yeah.
All right, great. So I'm gonna put 3 minutes on the timer. I want you to go ahead and answer the discussion prompt. Miss Meza just put it in the chat so that you should be able to access it there as well. If you can't see my screen, I'm just gonna go ahead and put 3 minutes on the timer. You may go ahead and start working.
It's a good prompt. We're really excited to hear what you guys are going to infer.
Josue, sit up. Quincy, we're missing you on the video here. Quincy, come back on video.
All right.
Adjust your camera so that we can see your head and shoulders. No, Quincy, that's not your head and shoulders. Much
I know.
better.
Set it up right now.
Hello. Okay. Hello?
We can hear
I
you.
can hear you, Miss Silla.
Okay. So hopefully this is the last time it shuts me out. Okay. So hopefully we were able to complete the discussion prompts. I'm just going to go ahead and ask really quickly that two of us share out. What do we think is going to happen for the future events in the story? How do we think these scenes are going to how do we think these scenes are going to help shape the rest of the story? I saw Lysandra's hand first, and then I want to hear from someone we haven't heard from. Josue, go ahead. Lysandra, then Josue, let's talk about it.
What I think is gonna happen to the witches and the battle, in the future scenes is that I think that they're gonna cause like a main problem in other scenes and cause trouble to like other like main characters. Cause like as we go on to play, we know that we're gonna be seeing more and more characters, and maybe like we see like a hero or something in the story, and that might cause like trouble to the witches in the battle, like causing a more bigger problem than it already is.
Okay, so you're saying we might see the witches cause even a bigger problem moving forward in the story. Okay, Josue.
I think the witches. No, I agree with Lysandra because I think the witches are gonna do something to affect the story, like even more, like throughout the book or story or play, because so far we've seen that they have been doing things.
Okay, I think Josue is a little frozen at this moment. So he also thinks that the Josue, did you finish your last thought, or are you back with us?
Yes.
Okay, continue your thought.
Wait, no, I finished.
Okay, all right, because it lagged down
That's
in
what
the
I
end
meant.
for a bit. Okay, great. So I just want to close this out right here because we have to transition over to enrichment. Once again, I apologize
So what's my
for
next
the
subject?
lag in the feed. I'm going to try to get it fixed before we reconvene for writing so that we're good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out over here. So today in class, we began by reading the scene with the appropriate inflection and tone. So we also summarized the scene, and then we talked about what shape infers the battle scene and the scene with the witches, how it might help shape future events in the story. So I hope these scenes gave you a sense of the mood and the tone in the play, not to mention it set the scenes for the events that are going to be coming up. So what you are going to do for homework is you're going to read Act 1, scenes 3 to 4. So just have those scenes read out for the next class, and then we're going to use these scenes to analyze the relationship between the witches and the weather. So we are going to see the witches pop up again in the next scene. And then we're also going to think about some statements that we hear from Macbeth. We're going to go ahead and evaluate them. And then we're going to think about Macbeth's growing ambition, and we're going to judge that as well. We're going to think about we're going to see how ambition, and we're going to see a new theme and how it can shape and quest for power, a theme that we read about in Julius Caesar, how it's shown throughout this text. And then we're also just going to characterize King Duncan based on some of the things he says, do, and how others may feel about him. Are there any questions? Great. So just make sure you read you read Act 1, scenes 3 to 4. I see a few of us were saying that we didn't have access to the text. I'm going to go ahead and send another message with that. If you are good to go with homework and you know it's expected of you to bring in for tomorrow's lesson, you may go ahead and log into your enrichment link.
We'll see you there. See you at enrichment. Bye.